Walk into a room, forget why you came in. Researchers have a name for that, and it is not memory loss. Here are 6 habits of people who stay sharp for decades, and 1 you need to quit. When researchers study people who keep their memory sharp into old age, they are not hunting for one lucky gene or one clever supplement. They measure ordinary things. How many words off a list you recall an hour later, how well you follow a conversation in a noisy restaurant. Then they follow those people for years and ask what the sharp ones did differently. Here is the part that matters whatever age you are today. The habits turn up decades before the memory slips do. Someone sharp at 80 was building it at 50, often at 40. Whether you are 45 or 75, this is neither too early nor too late. Stay with me until habit 4, because that is the reversal, something a great many people do every morning believing it helps. Habit 1. People who stay sharp keep at least one activity they are genuinely bad at. Not a hobby they have polished for 30 years, something clumsy and new. In a well-known study out of Texas, adults were split into groups. Some learned demanding new skills like digital photography or quilting. Others simply met socially. Only those wrestling with something hard and unfamiliar gained real memory. The reason has a name, cognitive reserve, which in plain English means the spare capacity your brain builds so it keeps working even as parts wear. Think of a city adding side streets. When the main road closes for repairs, traffic still crosses town because there are other ways through. Difficulty builds those side streets. Comfort does not, and you can lay that road at any age. Picture a man of 67 at his kitchen table with a beginner guitar, fingers in the wrong place, the cord buzzing instead of ringing, doing it again anyway. His daughter, 52, has not started anything new since university. She needs this as much as he does. You might be thinking you already read constantly, or you garden. Good things, but that is maintenance, a road you already built. This week, pick one thing you would be embarrassed to show anyone after a fortnight, 20 minutes a day. Which brings us to something quieter and easier to ignore. Habit 2. People who stay sharp protect their hearing, long before anyone would call it a problem. When international expert panels list the dementia risk factors we can actually do something about, untreated hearing loss sits near the top, and it is midlife hearing loss that carries the weight, which makes this a habit for your 40s and 50s, not just your 70s. Here is the part nobody explains. Your brain has a fixed budget of attention in any given moment. When sound arrives thin and blurred, more of that budget goes to decoding, and less is left for remembering. It is like reading a smudged photocopy. You get through it, but you finish the page with far less of it in your head. There is a second cost. Straining all evening is exhausting, so people quietly stop going out, and the conversation practice stops with them. Picture our man at a family dinner, 4 conversations at once, nodding at a joke he did not catch, then going quietly silent. You may be thinking your hearing is fine, that people mumble, that it is only bad in restaurants. That is very often what early hearing loss sounds like from the inside. This week, book a baseline hearing check so you have a number to compare against later. The next habit surprises people most. Habit 3. People who stay sharp keep a small circle they actually see in person. At Northwestern University, researchers have spent years studying so-called SuperAgers, people in their 80s whose memory tests look like someone 30 years younger. They went looking for a diet, a supplement, a pattern. What they found instead was relationships. Warm, close, in-person relationships reported far more often than in the general population. And the same signal turns up in studies of people in midlife, where loneliness tracks with faster decline decades later. The mechanism is straightforward. A face-to-face conversation is completely unscripted. You are reading an expression, holding your point while somebody interrupts, retrieving a name on the spot, judging when to speak. Compare that to watching a screen, where nothing is asked of you, One is an improvised duet. The other is playing a record. Picture our man on a Tuesday morning at the same cafe with the same two friends, arguing cheerfully about a football match from 1986. You might be thinking you are in touch constantly. You text the family. You video call. That counts. But a text is edited, and a screen strips out the timing and the face. This week, put one recurring in-person meeting in the calendar, same time, same place, someone else expecting you. Now for the turn in this video. Habit 4. People who stay sharp quit the daily crossword. This is the reversal, so let me say it plainly. When researchers test whether puzzle practice makes people better at everyday thinking, the results are consistently disappointing, and that holds at every age they have tested. People get faster and better at the puzzle they trained on. Those gains barely travel anywhere else. Scientists call it the transfer problem, meaning a skill does not move far from where you learned it. It is like practicing free throws for a decade and expecting your tennis serve to improve. Same arm, different game. A crossword trains word retrieval inside a familiar grid with familiar clues. It does not train the thing you actually want, which is remembering the name of the woman you met on Saturday, or where you left the car. Picture our man, 30 years of crosswords, finishing the hard one in 20 minutes flat, then standing in a car park, pressing his key fob at nothing. If you love the crossword, keep it. It is a pleasure, and pleasure is not nothing. Just stop counting it as brain training, because that belief is what stops people doing habit 1. This week, keep the morning puzzle and swap the second one for 20 minutes of the thing you are bad at. The next habit costs nothing at all. Habit 5. People who stay sharp tell long, detailed stories. There is a famous long-running study of nuns who wrote short autobiographies in their early 20s. Decades later, researchers found that the ones whose young writing was richer and denser in ideas were less likely to show serious decline in old age. The writing was done at 22, and it was still telling us something at 85. Language is a remarkably good window onto how a brain is aging at any point on the road. Telling a proper story is a full workout because you do several things at once. Pull details out of long-term memory. Put events in order. Reach for the precise word instead of the easy one. Watch your listener to see if they are following. Most daily talk asks for none of that. Picture our man on the back step, telling the whole story of the car he bought in 1974, the name of the man who sold it, the noise the engine made on hills. Perhaps you do not want to be the one who tells the same 3 stories forever. Fair. The answer is not silence. It is detail and variety. This week, at one meal, tell a story nobody at that table has heard, with 3 specific details. Names, weather, prices. Which leaves one habit, after the day is done. Habit 6. People who stay sharp guard the last 90 minutes before bed. Sleep is not the brain switching off. During deep sleep, the brain runs a clearing process that flushes out waste built up during the day, including proteins associated with aging brains. That deep sleep is concentrated in the first part of the night, which means what you do beforehand decides how much of it you get. Think of a cleaning crew that works only once the building is empty. Bright screens, a late drink, and a stressful argument keep the lights on and the staff standing around. Alcohol is a trap because it drops you off quickly and then quietly steals the deep stage later. And this one is not age-specific. A tired 40-year-old and a tired 70-year-old lose exactly the same window. Picture our man switching the television off at 9:30, a paper book under a low lamp. You may be thinking you sleep 7 hours, so you are fine. Total hours is half the story. Depth is the other half, and depth is the half you can influence tonight. This week, move one thing. Last drink 3 hours before bed, or no news after 9. Just one, for 7 nights, and notice how you feel by mid-morning. So where do you start? Takeaway. If you remember nothing else, remember this. The 20-minute beginner rule. 20 minutes a day, 30 days. On one thing you are genuinely bad at right now. Learn an instrument from scratch, badly and out loud. Learn a language. but with a real person, not an app that gives you gold stars. Or learn something physical and awkward like ballroom dancing or table tennis, where body and brain negotiate at speed. Choose one, not three. And here is how you know it is working, because it will not feel like getting cleverer. The frustration stops arriving so quickly. You can sit inside being bad at something for longer, without wanting to stand up and leave. That growing tolerance for difficulty is the reserve being built. And whether you are 45 or 75, it is the capacity your memory will draw on 20 years from here. One thing from you. In the comments, tell me your age and which of these 6 you already do without thinking about it. I read them, and I am curious whether it changes by decade. If this was useful, subscribe, because every week I put out one video on brain health, built on actual evidence, rather than whatever supplement is being advertised this month. No fear, no miracle cures. Go and be bad at something.